Finding out what your credit limit is can be overwhelming and confusing. In this video, I'm going to break everything down in a way that anyone can understand. First, what is a credit limit? Well, it's the maximum amount of money you can spend against your line of credit. When you make a purchase with your card, it will show up as a purchase on your account for that amount. However, before the bank will give you more credit and before any interest is imposed on you, they look to see how much of your line of credit has been used up. I know it can be confusing to figure out what your credit limit is. Now, it's possible you don't know how the amount is calculated or how it affects other areas of your credit, such as your credit score. There is no need to worry since it's not so complicated. Let me put all the information you need to know about your credit limit into one place. Let's start with the impact of your credit limit on your credit score. Credit limits and credit scores increase over time if you make responsible credit decisions. Payment history accounts for 35% of your FICO score, so if you have been paying responsibly over time, you have an advantage. An estimated 15% of your credit score is determined by how long your credit history is. In other words, your credit score increases as you have credit for a longer period of time. Approximately 10% of your FICO score is derived from your credit mix, so getting older increases the likelihood of a positive credit mix. Your credit score is affected by new inquiries by 10%. A hard inquiry will appear on your credit report if you apply for a credit card, so depending on what you do, you can lose anywhere between 2 and 5 points. 30% of your score is based on available credit. It's important to keep your balance low throughout the month so that you actually can increase your credit score. Credit accounts that remain inactive or are charged off lower your credit score. In the case of an inactive account, you should keep making payments to reflect on-time payments and prevent the account from going delinquent. In the case of a charged-off account, disputing the charge-off with the credit bureaus can help improve your score. Number 2, which is the best credit limit for you? Now, it's a well-known fact that credit cards offer fast access to loans and cash, but they also come with a high risk of debt. Despite this, many of us use them because we think it's easier or more convenient than using cash or other forms of debt borrowing, like a loan from a friend. As the numbers of Americans charging up their cards increase, so does credit card debt across the country, causing stress in millions of households and leading to millions in personal bankruptcy filings every year. Your credit limit might be lower on your credit card if you are just starting out on your journey to good credit. Credit limits are determined by your age, your credit history, and even what kind of card you have. A credit limit may also be affected by the type of card you choose. The best travel rewards cards target big spenders, so their credit limits are usually high. At the same time, if you are getting started out, you won't get a credit line that's too high. If you have a credit card with the same limit as your friends, do not compare it to them. It's impossible to know what's in other people's applications or credit reports, so that could be very different from your situation. If you are not satisfied with your credit limit, you should hold the card for at least 6 months. Then you can always request an increase in your limit. However, getting what you want depends on how well you handle previous credit. What determines your credit limit? Credit card companies use a variety of factors to assess your credit worthiness when determining your credit limit. The 3 main factors that determine credit limit are your personal financial situation, how you manage your borrowing, and the regulation set by creditors. In addition to your income, they look at how long you've been employed. During the process, they examine your credit report in detail and of course look at your credit scores as well. Every single one of them weight factors differently, and they all have their own criteria. It's common for credit card issuers to follow guidelines developed for that particular card. An unsecured credit card company might offer someone with limited credit a 500 credit limit on its most basic card. Usually the deposit amount is your credit limit when you have a secured credit card. If you increase your security deposit, you'll most likely be able to get your credit limit increased. With more elite credit cards, you might have the option of no preset spending limit. It means there is no definite limit, but it doesn't mean you can spend as you please. Basically, it's a limit that varies based on your spending habits, income, and other factors. When this happens, some issuers specify the minimum credit limit rather than the maximum credit limit. As an example, there might be a statement saying that if you are approved, your minimum credit limit will be $5,000. The credit limit is the maximum amount of money, usually in dollars, that a person or company can borrow. In general, lenders give lower credit limits to high-risk borrowers because they lack capital and are unable to repay the debt. Credit limits on low-risk debtors are generally higher, giving them more flexibility in the way they spend. So, When applying for a credit limit on a credit card, it is important to consider the ability to repay the debt. By overstating income and understating expenses, consumers may be tempted to spend beyond the limits. When this happens, credit cards may be the only payment method available to pay for the debt. With high interest rates and late fees, it's important to use credit cards wisely and avoid being trapped in debt. With that being said, thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to let me know in the comments if you got any value from this video. It's 2021, please subscribe, hit the notification bell if you aren't already, and I will see you soon.